Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. I hope everyone is doing great this Thursday. Energy Audit Thursday, you guys. Energy Audit Thursday, where we're auditing, our energy. And audit is just a way that we are looking, looking at areas that are either replenishing us or that are fueling us, right? So we are live in the group. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Thursday. I'm excited about today's conversation. I do think that this week's conversation is necessary, right? Because there's just this conversation again around our support systems. And I think that, we definitely can identify um, when we don't have the right support systems or the desire to have the correct support systems. And I don't think that we take the responsibility that is really our responsibility as adults to do what we need to do to make that happen. And sometimes we are just given a certain life and we're trying to, you know, as they say, play the cards that we have been dealt. All right. So good morning, everyone. This is Energy Audit Thursday, you guys. And today's topic is, stop pouring from an empty cup and really start strengthening your support systems. So I just want to say hello to everyone. If you're new here, I am Dr. Sheila Little, licensed master social work. And before we start, I just want to make sure that we are taking a breath, right? Just get present in our bodies, right? This is your time. No pressure, just the presence of the ever present ourselves with our minds in a safe space, right? I want to welcome you back to Project Life, where we turn theory into practice. And so we move what we know we should be doing into actionable steps every day, right? Every weekday, and then we take a break on the weekends, right? But before we dive into today's conversation, I would like you to drop one word in the chat that really describes how you are feeling today. How are you feeling today? Just drop a word in the chat. Let me know that you're here. Okay. Listen, this week has truly been powerful. Um, Again, I think it's a necessary conversation because we all need supports. And like I was saying earlier, I do feel like, we are trying to, this is one of those beliefs, really manage the cards that we've been dealt, right? It was like, listen, I don't got no spades. I got all clubs, and I'm trying to win this game. And that's one way to really look at life, right? And I do think that there's a time where we have to really live with the cards that we have been dealt. But because we are amazing, intelligent, divine beings, once we play that hand, once we play it, we can get a new hand. And I think that, I guess that's what I want to say. Like, once that hand is played, you get another hand, you guys. Like, we're not always playing with all clubs, no spades, and no face cards, right? But we won't give ourselves the opportunity because after we played that hand with all clubs, no face cards and no spades, we just get up from the table and we like, this just ain't the game for me, right? Right? Yeah, right, Candace. Uh, uh, Pep said he's proactive this morning. I'm happy for you, Pep. Good job. And then Candace said, tapping in, going to watch yesterday's later. Had a busy day yesterday. Candace, thank you for your support. Thank you for speaking with me on the other day. I appreciate that. Yeah, so I think that once we played that one hand and we lost, right? We had all clubs. We just want to give up, right? And I guess I just want to remind you that you will get another hand, right, to play in this thing called life. And so then having the necessary supports. Listen, it's some people who can, pull all your spades with a handful of clubs, right? With no face cards, right? They have enough. They can play that club game. So maybe it's about learning how to play, even when only have clubs and limited face cards, right? So yeah, I am excited about this week's conversation. If you guys enjoyed this week's conversation, right, and felt like it was necessary, put a fire in the chat for me. Put a fire in the chat for me. Listen, this week we've been unpacking the power of necessary supports, you guys. How our beliefs, how our triggers, even how our obstacles are really shaping the way we're asking for or receiving help. All right. But what about our energy, right? How much of it are we giving away to things that don't pour back into us, right? How much are we focusing on the places that we're giving our energy that's not pouring back into us, right? How much are we, I'm going to use this word softly, like wasting our energy on relationships and commitments and expectations that really drain us instead of, you guys, sustain us, all right? Because I do think that, I'm huge on this. The first dis-ease is how we judge a situation, right? So, and then the second one is trying to make other people change. Try to make other people do things that either they don't have the capacity, and quite frankly, they just don't have the desire to do it, right? And then we judge them and we're mad at them, right? And that's a source of our energy draining versus getting uncomfortable, right? For a very small amount of time, being courageous and going out and getting the necessary supports that we need so that we don't have to change people. Because here's the truth about it is we don't want to change either, right? We want to show up in our fullness. We want to show up as we are. But a lot of times we're trying to get other people to change and shift and adapt to us. So, hey, Kevin. Kevin says, sounds like coaching to me. Good points. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, so a lot of times we're trying to change other people. We're trying to make other things adapt to us. And guess what, you guys? That is draining in itself, right? So today's shift, we're going to take back control of our energy, you guys, not just by setting boundaries, but by making sure we are supported in ways that help us to expand, not just to thrive, you guys. So here's our powerful quote for today, right? You can't give your best to the world if you're running on empty, all right? Protect your energy like your future depends on it, because it really does, you guys. And again, when I'm saying protect your energy, it's not from this rigid, like, no new friends, right? No, it's truly like value your energy enough, right? Value these 750 billion cells enough that you are mindful of the type of conversations you're having, right? The type of people that you're having these conversations with, the time that you're putting in certain environments. And I always tell people, we've heard this thing that, like, money is something time, right? And I always say, like, money is not more valuable than time, right? Time is way more valuable than any resource that we have, because one, we only get a limited amount of it, right? So we only get 24 hours. I got the same 24 hours you got. If you're 46 years old, you've had the same time in this lifetime as me. And it's about what we choose to do with our time. And a lot of times we're taking a lot of our time and trying to shift and change and move other people, and we're blaming them for not shifting and changing at a pace that's fast. And then we feel like, I've wasted my time, or I've been in this for 10 years, or I've been in this for 7 years, so I might as well keep pushing on, when when it's showing you like, hey, this person is who they are, or maybe their gestational period is out of sync with what you need, right? It's not that they're never going to mature to that individual, but maybe it's just not going to be on your time. All right. And vice versa. Okay. So support isn't about having people around you. It's about having the right people around you guys, the right systems around you guys, and the right guidelines or boundaries that really keep your energy flowing in a way that fuels your growth. And and I'll say this again, we're not just trying to be served in this life. The greatest way to create momentum is to be of service. As the Bible says, give, right, and it shall be given to you, right? As you give, it shall be given to you, right? So a lot of times we've taken on this position that, we're waiting to love people, right, until they love us first. We're waiting to trust people until they show us that they're basically trustworthy, right? And a lot of these things we have access to give and test and really monitor as we're giving it, but we refuse to give it from fear, right? From fear of being hurt, from fear of being let down, from fear of a whole lot of things. And a part of a Project Life is just really about learning to be back in relationship with ourselves, giving ourselves grace, trusting ourselves enough to be of service to individuals. And that first individual, a lot of times is us, right? Like it has to come through me before it goes to you. I always say that, like, because a lot of times I've been like cursed out or judged or whatever, and I'm like, well, and I don't call people out their names or like really try to monitor how I speak to people, because I'm like, my ears got to hear that first, right? My brain has to experience that before it actually even gets to you, right? I matured to that level. Okay, so on Monday, listen, we talked about the stories we tell ourselves about supports, right? How many of us were taught that asking for help was a weakness, right? On Tuesday, we explored triggers, the things that make us resist support, even when we need it the most, you guys. And yesterday, we flipped the script and really talked about obstacles, right? Recognizing the challenges. That challenges are sometimes the push we need, right, to expand our capacity to really learn, to really lean into the right supports. But today, right, is about something deeper. It's about your energy, right? Because no matter how much support we have, if your energy is drained by the wrong people, places, and habits, you won't have the strength to really move forward, you guys. All right. So, so Jasmine was the strong friend, you guys, the one everyone called when they needed advice, a favor, or someone to listen to. Listen, she never said no, because in her mind, saying no meant she wasn't being a good friend, a good daughter, a good coworker, right, or a good businesswoman. But then Jasmine started waking up exhausted, you guys. No physical energy, right? She was just tired, mentally and emotionally drained. And she realized something. It wasn't just what she was doing, it was who was doing for her. All right. She was constantly pouring into people who really never poured back, right? And she didn't take the initiative to go make sure that she was being poured into, right? So Jasmine had a support system, but it wasn't a sustainable one, right? When she started working with me, she was always overgiving, overcommitting, and overextending herself in relationships that wasn't, reciprocal, right? And for the first time, she had to ask herself, do I have a support system that strengthens me or one that silently is draining me? Listen, how many of you guys have been in a family, in a relationship, in a job where you just knew, like, yeah, this is kind of like giving carbon monoxide, right? It's like, I'm dying real slow here, right? Like, I am like literally being drained and pulled and tugged, right? Listen, support isn't just about giving, it's about receiving too, right? So being a good person It's not about all like being superwoman or being superman and giving, right? It's about also being in receptive mode, you guys. And if you think about it, how many times have somebody asked, hey, you need some help with that? Hey, you want to talk? And you wanted to, but you're like, no, I'm good. Yep, nope, I'm all right? Because guess what? Being I'm gonna give an analogy. If you had a birthday party and somebody says surprise, or you walk in a room and everybody look at you, right? There's this sense of, again, vulnerability, like all eyes on me. Everybody's looking at me. I want to hide. I don't want you to see me. And here's the thing, when we pour, right? When we pour, right? You're sometimes not paying attention to me. You're paying attention to the thing I'm pouring, right? But when you are when we're in receptive mode, there's this idea that you see me, you see my needs, you see my vulnerability. And so being in receptive mode, you guys, is a very challenging place to be. And again, it's about being, right? A lot of times in our feminine, and again, I'm not saying feminine like women, female, mind you, males and females have masculine and feminine energy, right? Just males have more doers energy, right? And females have more being energy. But this being energy that's in all of us is sometimes, being looked over, not being adequately fed, because that requires me to be in receptive mode. That requires me to allow life to happen, to not try to control things, to trust, right? Trust the process, trust that. And this is where faith literally sits. That is the seat of faith, right? Being present, or being present enough and aware that, listen, I can't control everything, right? So, so if your energy is always flowing outwards, it's never being replenished, you guys. You are not in a support system that fuels you. You are in an energy trap, okay? Where you're giving and giving and giving. And I always talk about this hook too. Like, maybe if I give, like we're baiting people a lot of times, like maybe if I give this, maybe if I give that, someone to give it back. Somebody will see me and give it back. And a lot of times we want people to just do for us without us having to ask. Well, if you see the need, just do it, right? Well, if you see that I needed the help, why didn't you just do it? Like, why do I need to ask for it? Well, because as an adult, you're actually communicating more to your 750 billion cells that you acknowledge that the assistance is needed. And remember, in nature needs each other, right? It needs each other to sustain, right? I gave the example as the flowers need the bees to pollinate them. If they don't pollinate, if the bees don't come pollinate the flowers, then we won't have any flowers, you guys. So there's a part of, by design, we need one another, right? And that's not from a codependent, like I'm like, no, it's an interdependence. It's like the seat of that you're sitting in right now needs the four legs to hold it up. Okay. So this need that I'm talking about is not this dependency or anything like that. It's a healthy sustainability, right? I need to breathe in and breathe out. When I breathe out, I'm giving carbon dioxide to the trees and things like that. And then the trees get that, and they need that to create the oxygen that I'm breathing. So when I'm talking about need, I'm talking about it from a sustainability point. And a lot of us are not in places that can sustain our energy or even help us to create the energy. And so we start to feel depleted and depleted in an energy trap. If that makes sense, put a heart in the chat for me. Okay. So in the Stop and Now framework, we talk about P, and today we're talking about P. P stands for patterns. And here's the truth. Your energy pattern really determines how far you will go. All right. So your old mindset, as long as I keep pushing, I'll be fine. How many of us told ourselves that I'm tired, I'm exhausted, but I'm just going to keep pushing myself and I'll be fine? The new one is, listen, I can't sustain my purpose if I'm constantly being depleted. Okay. So today we're auditing our energy, you guys. We're looking at where our support systems is working for us and where we might be quietly working against us, where they might be quietly working against us. Okay. So today we're auditing our energy, you guys. We're looking at where our support systems is working for us and where they might be quietly working against us. Okay. Because listen, your energy isn't infinite, right? Where you spend it determines what grows in your life. Okay. If you are in a, if you give to draining people, you'll feel empty, you guys. If you give to what fuels you, you'll feel expanded. What do I mean by that? So a lot of us I meet with a lot of clients who the work they're doing, the relationships that they're in, they're not reciprocating, right? So by doing that work, it's actually work, right? It's not giving anything back to me. But when I go do this thing, like when I go speak, or when I go, um, paint, or when I go sing, or when I go do this thing, like, yeah, I'm doing that thing, but I actually feel more energized when I leave that. If that makes sense, put a 2 in the chat for me. So the thing I'm doing actually requires a level of energy, but in that energy I'm giving, it's actually giving me energy, right? So we sometimes call this our passion or our purpose or, our gift or whatever that is. And a lot of us have cut that part off of us, right? Or cut ourselves from those type of sources that as I give, I am given to, right? As I do this thing, it's actually cultivating me, right? So for me, for example, it's construction, right? So when I go and I get a house and I'm like looking at it and I'm like, okay, we're going to tear this wall down and we're going to, open this space up, right? When I'm in that mode, like I'm so energized, I can go to 11 different Home Depots, look at thousands of different floor patterns and different type of flooring and paint colors and come back and go test it again. Like it's as if, and guess what? This house is a solid place. Like it's not like that house is giving me the energy, but in the activity of creating the design for that house, like I am getting energized. So I can wake up in the morning like, oh, before I take my son to school, I want to stop at Home Depot. Any other mornings, I ain't waking up like that, right? I also feel that way when I'm creating content because I can like be like, okay, I'm gonna say this and this is what I'm doing, right? So it's actually fueling me. Sometimes though, as a therapist, when I'm in that role, that's not always fueling, right? I'm serving a certain person that needs my energy and I'm not expecting them to give that back to me. And this is what I'm saying. As adults, we have to find a balance in where we give and we know that that space doesn't have the capacity or whatever to fuel us back, and making sure that we're being conscious enough to go out and do the things, explore the places that really fuel us, and then have the right support systems around us, the right people, the right environments and things like that. It's not up to other people to do that for us, you guys. It's all that is a adult responsibility for you to do that. And we have to stop blaming people that don't have the capacity or the desire for not feeding us the way we feed them energetically, the way we support them energetically. Like that's a choice you're making. You're making a decision to support the people you support, to accept the things you accept for them, or participate in the things that you participate with them. So to then turn around and judge them as being toxic or bad or not good for you, like that's unfair to you and that's unfair to them. If you love that person and if you care for them, then we accept people for who they are. And then we do an energy audit. Well, what else can I be doing to really give me the energy that I need? And maybe I need to explore that. So maybe I need to go get a therapist. Maybe I need to go talk to a coach. Maybe I need to pick up a book. Maybe I need to continue to watch Project Life, right? Maybe I need to go and put in motivation and inspiration into my search engine on social media, and watch what other people are talking about, right? Maybe I need to tap into some podcasts, right, to really give me a different way to look at life, okay? Right? Because listen, and what this means is that if you feel exhausted, stuck, or overwhelmed, it might not be because you're doing too much. It's because you're doing too much of the wrong things, right? You're doing too much for the wrong reasons, and you're doing too much often for the wrong things. Okay. So you're not a machine, you guys. You don't exist to serve or fix or accommodate. That's not the only reason we exist, you guys. You deserve to be in spaces that replenish you, just like you replenish others, you guys. You deserve that. All right. And I know that we're waiting. A lot of us are waiting for, I don't know if it's Superwoman to come or somebody to come and save us. But the truth of the matter is we have to save ourselves as adults. And a lot of us haven't really transitioned fully into our adult mind, right? That could be because of trauma. That could be because of fear. That could be because we just don't know, right? And so we're blaming other people and we're pointing the finger at other people, and we're doing so much and spending so much of our energy focused on what's wrong versus saying, what is it that I need? What is it that I want to be doing? And then who do I need to contact? So I can become that individual. And that's I don't want to keep using the word scary, but that's uncomfortable. That's uncomfortable. Okay. But let me ask you this. Imagine waking up feeling refueled, not drained. Imagine surrounding yourself with people who add to your energy, not just take from it. Listen, imagine doing things that don't just require labor intensive time, but actually as you do it, you're cultivating energy. All right. That's the power of aligning with the right support systems, right? That will really help you grow. So when I'm talking about support system, I'm talking about people, places, and environments that as you enter them, as you go into these places, there's a mutual exchange of energy, right? And guess what? There's going to be spaces where there's not a mutual exchange of energy. That's just going to be it. As leaders, as teachers, as coaches, as employees, as parents, right? In our relationships, sometimes, right? There's not always a mutual exchange of energy. So there has to be a space where we're taking responsibility to say, what is it that I need? Right? And making that shift may make other people around you uncomfortable. It may make other people around you feel a little threatened, like, hey, so you just gonna go do your own thing? Yes. Just like I need to eat this meal to keep me healthy, I need to make sure that I'm doing things that's keeping me healthy, that's keeping me energized. Okay. Listen, one of the members, right, used to think of boundaries, setting boundaries would push people away. But when she finally stopped overcommitting and started choosing who and what she said deserved her energy, right, she felt freer, she felt lighter and more supported ever before, right? And it was her really understanding like guidelines, like what is it that I need, and why do I need this? Why is this boundary here? Why is this boundary here? Am I protecting myself from something? Is this boundary there to keep me stuck, to keep me small, or is this boundary here as a support and a guideline that aligns in my values and moving me in the direction of the woman that I want to become, right? Listen, research shows, or a study from the American Psychological Association found that people who intentionally manage their energy levels and set boundaries around draining relationships are 40% have a 40% higher increase in their mental clarity, you guys, in their productivity, and in their emotional well being. All right. Your energy is your responsibility. How will you start protecting it? right? It's your responsibility. How will you start protecting it? And I think that we really need to understand that a part of our energy is our emotions, right? And if we're shut down emotionally and we're not allowing ourselves to digest, right, our feelings and being honest about our feelings, I submitted a proposal for what's called meta emotions, right? To really do a study on meta emotions, and I want to do it in with our Black men. And so, but what a meta emotion is the emotion that you have about the emotion, right? So we talk about the thinking, but we never really talk about the emotion we have about the emotion. All right. And a lot of us are stuck in our meta emotion, right? In this sense of like, I feel so if I'm going to get my energy, I'm gonna take time out to go sit in the jacuzzi or to go take a paint class or to go learn how to play a new instrument. I feel good about that. That makes me happy. But then I have an emotion of guilt because I'm taking my time to go do a thing that I want to do. That's the meta emotion. So, which one of these emotions do you think now I'm going to act from? Am I going to act from the thing that makes me happy, that I know makes me happy? Or am I going to act from the guilt that I feel about actually doing something to make me happy? And that's the power of a meta emotion, you guys. And I think a lot of males may struggle with this. A lot of females are struggling with it too. So I want to expand my research into that. But I really do feel like we have these meta emotions where we have a feeling about the feeling of feeling good. If I go get the right supports, right, and I get the clarity and I become productive and I grow, right, we talk about survivor's remorse. Survivor's remorse is a meta emotion, right? It's a thing that I feel, even though I'm grateful to have this opportunity to break out of life and out of this system, I actually feel guilty about feeling that good or feeling that confident or doing that thing. If that makes sense, put a 3 in the chat for me. And a lot of us are struggling with these meta emotions when it comes to us really taking the time to do what's required for us because we have a belief system that that we have to just be there for everyone else, and that being in some way being happy, being fulfilled and living and thriving is a bad thing, right? It's not even a bad thing. It's just like a fear of judgment, a fear of like, oh, so you think you better because you're doing, better than everybody else. And so we struggle to truly embrace true happiness. We struggle to really embrace true fulfillment when we know everybody doesn't feel that or everybody doesn't have this luxury. And so we tend to feel a sense of guilt or a sense of shame around doing the thing that we know we need to do. If that makes sense, put a 3 in the chat for me. Put a 3 in the chat for me, you guys. All right. So let's move on to our biblical wisdom, you guys. So our principal verse, remember, we're using biblical wisdom. Why? Because well, because the Bible is one of the oldest oldest books, right? But the Bible is not just a book about religion, you guys. It's a book about promises. It's a book about principles. It's a book about parables and patterns, right? And that's all throughout the whole book, right? So a lot of times we're not really looking at the Bible as a instructional tool, right? And as an instructional tool, because we scared. A lot of times we've been told a lot of things about who God is, who God isn't. What God does, what God doesn't do. And I'm really here to kind of disrupt that, because God is the creator of all things, good, bad, and different. But disrupt that in our lives, because we are energy fields. We are powerful beyond measure. We are the supreme beings within our own rights. And if we believe that God is the King of Kings, then that means that you're a king. And guess what a king is? A king is entrusted to something. Okay. So the king has servants because they're entrusting him to do with the resources. They're entrusting him to do with the people, with the policies, the way that will benefit who? The community, or the followers, or the whoever the population that he was provided to serve. And guess what? We're all responsible if it's not just us, right? For us, we have to entrust ourselves that we have the wherewithal, the intellect, the ability to take care of us, right? And then if we're entrusted as a parent, right? If we have a kingdom in our home, then that means that our kids are entrusting us to do what we need to do as adults to make sure that they have the food that they need, the resources that they need, that the safety that they need, right? If we're called to serve a certain community, that community is entrusting us as kings and queens, right? To show up, to be prepared, to learn from our mistakes, to hear their needs, to really then integrate that and serve them at their highest level. So when we talk about God being the King of Kings, that means that we are responsible. And the word king is not just like, oh, hey, king. It means that you're entrusted with a resource, and that resource is not for you. It's not for you. It's for the individuals that you were called to serve. And to do that, you guys, we need the right supports around us, right? We need to be that's, it's say heavy as the head that wears a crown, right? Hey, every king has a group of individuals that's advising him. They know how to do what? Delegate responsibilities. They know how to do what? Acts. If you watch any type of show, they're asking like, hey, I had this dream. What do you think this dream means? Right? They have people around them that are helping them orchestrate and be this to be in this life. And a lot of times we're trying to do it ourselves, and we want that kingship, and we want to carry the crown, as kings and queens. But we're like, okay, how can I be entrusted to something if I'm not even trusting myself? And we have to really learn how to trust who we are, whose we are, right? And so I'm using principles and promises because I want you to be reminded, right? This is a principle. And when you do this principle, this is the promise. Okay. So our principle verse today, I said all of that to say that. Okay. Okay. So above all else, right? Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it, you guys. Listen, this is a principle. Above all else, guard your heart, because everything you do flows from it, you guys. All right. What does this mean? Your energy, your mindset, your emotions, they flow from what you allow into your life, you guys. Protecting your heart and your energy, listen, it's not selfish, right? It's a necessary growth. And again, protecting, not guarding. Protecting means I'm taking care of. I'm taking care of my energy. I am protecting my energy by doing what? By going and speaking to a therapist every week, by going and working out, right? By listening to things that are, that balance my mind, by being still, right? So when we talk about protecting our hearts, I'm not talking about in this context. I'm not speaking of guarding your heart, putting a wall up, cutting everybody off. I'm saying, hey, are you doing the things that you should be doing to actually protect your heart, to sustain it, right? To actually protect your energy and sustain it, right? Because it's necessary for your growth, right? We protect everything else. A lot of us do, or we try to learn, right? We're trying to learn how to protect our assets, right? So we go get them insured, right? We're trying to learn how to protect our homes, right? So we're in how to protect our credit, right? Like it's a lot of things. How to protect our position, right? And that's in what? And really doing things that is going to allow that to sustain, right? So when we're thinking about protection again, it's not just defending, it's showing up. What am I doing? They say that men are protectors, and I do think that men hear that as like, I'm a boss up, and who trying to come after my woman and my kids, and I'm gonna fight you. But that's not always protection, you guys. Protection is, like I said, like, what are you doing to ensure, right, that your family is safe? Like, are you Safe emotionally. That means, are you using the right tone, right? Are you using the right language? Safe mentally, right? Are you exploring and allowing for curiosity and different type of thought processes to happen in the house, right? Physically safe, right? Are you making sure the bills paid, things like that. So when we're talking about protecting our energy, you guys, then it's, are we doing the right things? Do we have the necessary supports around us so that our hearts can grow, right, and sustain, and so that our energy can always be replenished because we're doing what we need to do to protect our energy? Okay. The promise, if that makes sense, put a 4 in the chat for me. Um, the Lord gives us, so the promise verse is Psalms 29:11, and it says that the Lord gives strength to his people, you guys, and the Lord blesses his people with peace. Listen, true support should bring both strength and peace, you guys, not just busyness and obligation. When you are surrounded by the right support, you guys, you don't feel capable. You feel like this sense of ease, knowing that you are not carrying, listen, everything alone. Listen, I work with a lot of CEOs from around the world, you guys, Africa, New York, California, right? And they are like, okay, this situation happened on Monday, and I'm like, I know I got a meeting with her on Thursday, but I really just need to talk. Can I call you on Tuesday? Sure. Yep, I got a time. You can call me at this time and this time, because they want to be their highest best self, and they know that that support, even though it's what we deem not natural, right? Because they're paying for my time, but they're not just paying for my time; they're paying for the the results that they get from that conversation, the relief that they feel that somebody is actually here to hear me. So there's a sense of ease, right? I say that I don't charge by the hour. I charge by the impact that I know that this is going to make in your life. Okay. And so them being able to have that time to speak, it's a relief. When you get the right supports around you, listen, you will feel a sense of ease knowing that you are not carrying everything alone, right? When somebody truly understands you, when somebody is really there to support you, listen, and most importantly, when you learn to understand you, when you become a necessary support for you, when you make the decision to say, listen, I'm going to make sure that I prioritize me. Okay. When you become that source for you, right? It's a game changer. It's a game changer. All right. Because when you are around people, because God's promise is not just about endurance, you guys, but about living with a sense of peace and alignment. And remember, we talked about yesterday, this has nothing to do with taking the pain away or taking the disease away. Sometimes it just happens to be a shared responsibility. I'm always, at my brother's house. I go there maybe like once a month um, or twice a month, right? Where we shooting pool, and I feel like I could just be 100% Sheila. He cannot come change my situation at work or whatever, but just him listening, right, to whatever his little sister is going to, even though I'm his big sister, right? Whatever she's going through, him just being there in a non-judgmental way, right? Like I said, it doesn't change my circumstance. I still got to go back and have those difficult conversations. I still got to, get the resources. I still got to do the things that I need to do. But sometimes that outlet, right, is a necessary support so that I can get the energy, right? So I'm like, woosah, right? I'm shooting pool and I'm beating them, right? And I'm just playing. He beat me. And yeah, and so we have to make sure, and I guess that this is the bottom line. We just have to make sure that we have the right supports around us, and stop trying to judge the people who are not supporting us, and become adults, right? And start making the decisions that sometimes are going to be uncomfortable. All right. Because support isn't about who stands beside you, you guys, but who strengthens you and restores you. You see, y'all see he laughed in the chat, right? The right support, he laughed because he know that he be beating me in pool. wink, wink. The right support systems won't just push you forward, right? It will give you peace throughout the process. And that's just what I was just trying to say, right? So, again, support isn't just about who stands beside you guys, but who strengthens you and restores you. Listen, the right support system won't just push you forward, it will give you the peace in the process. Okay. So this session, again, is about energy management, understanding that support systems in our lives should fuel us, listen, not deplete us. And the scripture reminds us that the strength and peace that we need are already available to us, you guys. But we have to be intentional about where we place our energy and who we allow to pour into us. All right. I do have another principle verse that I did want to share. It's above all else, guard your heart for everything from it. Oh, that's it. The principle verse. I want to have something else to say about this. So this verse isn't about emotions, you guys. It's about energy, mindset, and well-being. Okay, energy, mindset, and well-being. Right, your heart in this context represents your inner self, right? Your thoughts, your emotions, your spiritual energy. Everything you do, listen, flows from a state of your inner world, you guys. If you are drained, overwhelmed, and consistently giving without being replenished, it shows up in how you work, how you love, you guys, and how you live. So guarding your heart doesn't mean shutting people off, right? It means being intentional about who and what gets access to your energy. All right. So this verse challenges us to really audit our energy the same way we audit our finances and time. Just as you wouldn't allow just anyone to withdraw from your bank account, you guys, or to get access to your bank account number, or to, have access to personal spaces, right? You shouldn't allow just anyone to withdraw your energy, right? Right. And when a withdrawal is happening from your energy, you should know that that was a big withdrawal. I'm responsible for putting that back in, right? For getting that put back in. Okay. A lot of us knowingly are taking on big charges in our life, big challenges in our life that we know is an energy drain, but we're not on the reverse side saying, now, what am I going to do to make sure that that energy comes back? Okay. So, what if everything you do flows from your energy? What if everything you do flows from your energy? Shouldn't you be intentional about where your energy goes, you guys? Okay. And then the other verse, the Lord gives us his strength, gives strength to his people. This verse really just reminds us that true strength doesn't come from overworking, overgiving, overcommitment, right? It comes from alignment, you guys. Strength isn't just about pushing through exhaustion. It's about knowing when to step back, recharge, and receive the support you need. Peace is a sign that your energy is in alignment. If your relationships and your commitments and your routines are leaving you anxious, exhausted, and depleted, you guys, it might be time to reassess who and what you're allowing in your space, you guys. Support that drains you is not true support, you guys. The right support, the right support, the right support should strengthen you. It should allow you to enter into peace because it's a sense of alignment, right? And not just one or the other. So this alignment, is really different. It's really different being at peace, because to me, alignment is like being in the eye of the tornado. Like, you see stuff going on, you see bad things happening, but you're in the eye where it's just calm, right? And it's kind of like, and to me, that's a metaphor for peace. And I think that when we think about peace, we think about peace being everything put together, structured, everything is where it's supposed to go. People are acting the way they should act. And that's just not peace. Peace is acceptance and allowance, right? And when I'm around, and when I have the right supports around me, it's these are the type of supports, the environments, and the situations that that fit like puzzle pieces for me, right? That they fit. They're not too big, they're not too small, like they're just right, right? So their level of whatever uniqueness they have, it fits with me. And guess what? sometimes in our organic situations, our natural situations, like our family and things like that, like maybe we don't always feel fit, but we have an obligation to them. And this is why I say you have a responsibility as adults to build your own community, right? Not just take on the community that has been given to you, because this was my homeboys at 12 and 13, and and this is my mom, and these are my brothers, and then we don't have to judge them or cut them off because they're toxic and bad. No, that's not healthy either, right? But where's my balance at? If I was called to this family by God to be the, I don't know, quote unquote savior, right? Then I know that ain't gonna work. So where am I now as an adult woman or adult man saying, okay, where am I being fed so that I can feed? And then I need to stop looking for these individuals to feed me because they don't have the capacity. They just don't have it. And not be mad because they feeding somewhere else. Okay. If that makes sense, put a 5 in the chat for me. All right. So this verse helps us to truly shift from scarcity mentality to abundance mindset. So instead of believing if I stop giving so much, I lose my value. When I give from a place of overflow, I can be more impactful. Okay. So if your version of strength is consistently leaving you exhausted, if your version of strength is consistently leaving you exhausted, is it really strength? Or is it a sign that something in your support system needs to shift? I'm going to leave you with that one. All right. Because here's the thing, these scriptures, they really remind us that your energy needs to be protected, right? What you allow in your life directly affects what flows out of it. All right. And true support strengthens and restores us, not drains and depletes us. So if something is constantly robbing you of your peace, where you're judging it, or where it's itching on you, right? It's time to realign. Okay. The right support systems won't just push you forward, right? It will give you peace in the process. All right. So here go our action steps today. You can screenshot it. I want you to make make 2 lists actually, of the energy givers, right? The things that really fuel your life, right? And then I want you to think about the energy drainers, right? The things that deplete you, all right? And then step 2, I want you to choose one energy draining habit, right? And like release it. And I think that one of our biggest energy draining habits is just that we judge. We look at things through, in a sense, very jaded eyes. And that's draining in itself. Okay. And then I want you to think of one energy renewing habit and prioritize it. All right. I want you to, in step 3, set a boundary or a guideline, or just shift your focus, right? Shift your focus to the things that strengthen you. We have to start to learning how to live in duality, you guys, in a life that is both good and bad, in a life that is deemed good and bad, in a life that has its ups and downs, in a life where where we can get ill and feel sickness, right? We have to learn how to live in an inclusive life, and not just a life where everything is good, everything is good, everything is good, and if it's not, then there's something wrong. Okay. This life it rains, it sunshines, it snowstorms, right? It's tornadoes, like things happen, and we have to become more durable and be able to um to really ebb and flow with life. And we do that with the right supports. Okay. With the right supports. So our affirmation today is to protect my energy level. Okay. I give and receive support in ways that expand me, and I'm worthy of replenishment and restoration. All right. And then today's intention, I choose to give my energy to what strengthens me, not what drains me. All right. We already know. what to do. If today's session, listen, resonated with you, drop a fire in the chat for me. Let's celebrate our growth, you guys. We're at day 4. We're talking about patterns. Remember, patterns is the thing that we've done over and over and over again, right? That really developed from a story we told ourselves. That story really triggered, right, an emotion. That emotion typically created an obstacle. Those obstacles, when lived over and over again, you guys, create this pattern. And this pattern that we're talking about today is this pattern of just feeling drained. Like, I just feel drained. And I'm saying, hey, we can break that. We can break that pattern today if we just choose to make a different decision, choose to think about the thing that replenishes you, right? It could be something as listening to music, dancing in the middle of your floor, right? When the last time you just cut the music on and just had a good dance or a good laugh, or, but we get so busy in life. We get so busy in life that we don't fuel ourselves. And then we don't get around the right environments that we know fuel us. For example, I love a live band. I love a live band. Every year, I'm going to go see a live band. I'm going to a concert. It fuels me. I don't care how much the tickets is. They just so happen to be, a concert, but like a little live, a jazz band, something like that. Like, I love that. I love talent. I love seeing, people who can do challenging things. So I want you to challenge yourself. Like, what is a thing that I can do to really help me support the person that I'm becoming and the person I am today, and really start to make that a priority. And if you can't make it a priority, or you're having difficulty with that, just make sure you join that Project Life, right? At SheilaLittle.com/life. I heard that when you go on, like, you're putting your name in, just put your name in and my assistant will get back with you. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you guys. I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers by 2026. And invite a friend, right? This has been 3 weeks. We're coming up on the end of 4 weeks this tomorrow, where we're talking about the inner critic, right? So seeking external approval, start trusting your own voice. That is what we're going to talk about tomorrow. I love you guys. I thank you so much for your time. And and I will see you tomorrow for our next life lesson. You be well. Till later.